Back in March, the DEA launched a nationwide effort called Operation Crystal Shield to help local law enforcement efforts on a methamphetamine crackdown.
Today, we're getting a look at the impact of those efforts, both here in Southern California and nationwide. And joining us now to talk more about this is Special Agent Bill Bodner. Thanks again for joining us this morning. So what was the operation's impact in Southern California and nationwide?
Yeah, good question. So first, the why. I mean, we felt like we had to undertake this operation because from 2018 to 2019, the amount of methamphetamine coming into the United States from Mexico more than doubled. And we make that estimate based on the street price and then also on the amount of drug that we seized. In 2018, about 50,000 pounds, and in 2019, well over 100,000 pounds. So we realized that methamphetamine was flooding the streets and we had to do something about it. What we did is we targeted 8 cities around the country, and it's very specific how it was done. Most of the methamphetamine that hits the streets of the United States passes through at least one of these 8 cities. We call them transportation hubs. That's where we focused our resources, and that's where we attacked the methamphetamine problem. And hey, it's difficult to say how much of the impact has been from Crystal Shield and how much from COVID, but we've seen a 4 times increase in the price of methamphetamine. And we've also seen a 40% decrease in methamphetamine availability here in the LA area. So between COVID and our efforts, we have been able to, at least for now, put a cap on the methamphetamine coming in.
Well, if it gets that expensive, clearly people start to turn their attention elsewhere. And we're getting word that fentanyl is being found in counterfeit drugs more and more often. That is an incredibly troubling trend.
It's incredibly dangerous, Phil, incredibly dangerous, because the stigma's gone. People think, oh, I'm just taking a pill. You know, it used to be when I was young, an opiate addict was a heroin user who was injecting the drug, and there was a certain stigma attached to that. And right now, with fentanyl in pill form, in counterfeit pharmaceutical form, that stigma's gone. So a lot more people are trying the drug. You know, if you look back at 2013, about 3% of the overdose drug cases in LA County involved fentanyl. In 2019, that was 33%, and just in the first couple months of this year, that number's up to 50% of the drug overdose deaths involve fentanyl in one way or another. It's affecting young people, too. The average age of an overdose victim with fentanyl in LA County is 25 to 30 years old. So it's based on a couple of things. First of all, is, as I said, the stigma's gone. And second of all, people really don't know what they're taking. The dosing is very inconsistent. And when they take a pill, it could be enough in one pill to kill them.
Yeah, so tragic. Now, we've been reporting on crackdowns on party houses and those homes being used to host these large gatherings during the pandemic. But we also understand the DEA is concerned about rental houses being used by drug traffickers. What can you tell us about that?
So here's an interesting side effect of COVID. One thing you may have been following in the news is the eviction ban. You cannot evict people right now for not paying rent. So people who have rental properties that are vacant, they're a little bit hesitant to make them long-term rentals because to be honest, they're not quite sure if the rent is going to be paid. So what they're doing is they're turning to the short-term rental market, an Airbnb style market. And the reason why is the cash is paid up front. So the person pays for the short-term rental before they ever get the keys. This is perfect for drug trafficking, but because it enables them to use a house in a discreet neighborhood, probably where we all live, and they can rent it for short term, have a drug load come in from Mexico, house it there for a couple days, get it distributed, and then boom, they're out and they're moving on to the next house. And we've seen this start to happen lately, and it's something that's going on right under our noses, and it could cause a potential for violence and crime in neighborhoods that you wouldn't normally expect it.
Wow.
So what do you do if you think, real quick, what do you do if you think that's happening in your neighborhood? Call the police?
Yeah, you can call the police or call the local DEA office. DEA.gov is where you can find us online. Also, if you want to keep up on some of these trends that I'm talking about, you can follow us on Twitter at DEA Los Angeles.
Okay. And real quick, can those people, the apartment owners or the homeowners that are renting out on Airbnb or these other services, what can they do to make sure this is not happening?
It's very difficult because a lot of times the drug traffickers will use a front person to actually rent the property. And it'll be someone who maybe doesn't have a criminal history, and they're going to pay that person a stipend for renting the property for them, probably a couple $1,000s. It's a significant amount of money just to put their name up front and do the transaction. So it's very typical. One of the questions I think that should be asked is why? Why does someone want to rent the property? And that gets into a touchy area when you start asking questions like that about a rental property.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, thanks much.
Thank you.